Good morning, everyone. I am Sucheta Das. I am team lead and senior project administrator, and my team manages projects for Health Science Center, Tarleton, Raleigh campus. And today I will be talking about sponsored project closeouts. This is a pictorial representation of a project life cycle. The first phase is the pre-award phase, where our SRS proposal administrators assist the department PIs and they develop a proposal which is then submitted. After a proposal is funded, then it goes to the negotiation phase where the SRS contract negotiators, they work on the terms and conditions, and then the agreement is fully executed. After the agreement is fully executed, then it goes to the post-award stage where an account is created and is given to the department to post expenses related to that project. The SRS project administrator manages the project throughout the life cycle of the project. And then after all the expenses are posted and after all the work is done, it is sent for closeout. So what is closeout? Project closeout is the last major phase of a project's life cycle and is the process in which we determine if all the applicable administrative actions and all the required work has been completed. The principal investigator will be notified prior to the termination date of the project. SRS project administrator will communicate with the PI to determine if a no-cost extension will be requested or if an extension with additional funds is pending. If it is determined that no further time is needed to complete the project goals, then the project will be sent for closeout. The key feature to close any sponsored project is the submission of all the technical, financial, and other reports as requested to the sponsoring agency in time. Closeout overview. PA will be in contact with the department business administrators, or for some system members, RDO, which is Research Development Office, and PI regarding the closeout of a project beginning about 90 days before the end date. The PA will inform the PI or the department of the end date, the freeze date, which is the last date to submit expenses, and the final technical report due dates. Once the PI, BA, or the admin support have confirmed that all expenses are posted to the account will be frozen and the closeout process will begin. Two integral parts of closeouts are financial and contractual. Financial, confirm all expenses that incurred within the period of performance are posted, all encumbrances have been liquidated, account is not overspent, and cost share, if applicable, has been met. It is crucial that all expenses or correction, it can be payroll-related corrections, which is called the PCT, or any other departmental correction, which is called the DCR, are posted to the account in a timely manner. If any expenses are disallowed, it is advisable that department does corrections to remove them at the earliest convenience. Cost share, if applicable, needs to be met since it is part of the terms and conditions of the award. It is important to note that only allowable expenses to the project can be used to meet cost share. Contractual, which deals with the final technical reports, inventory reports, etc. It's the PI's responsibility. The PIs can upload the technical reports in Maestro and mark the deliverable as complete. If they are finding any difficulty in uploading the reports, please forward those to the PAs so that they can upload the reports. Projects cannot be terminated unless all deliverables are completed. PAs will send emails to the PIs regarding delinquent technical reports, and if they're unavailable, they will reach out to their business administrators or RDO for further assistance. Uniform guidance, this is a mandate which is applicable to federal and federal flow-through awards. Non-federal entity must submit no later than 120 calendar days after the end date of the period of performance all the financial, performance, and other reports as required by the award. Federal agency should complete all closeout actions no later than 1 year after receipt and acceptance of all required final reports. Post-closeout adjustments, refunds. Refunds can be needed as a result of corrections after the final invoice was submitted and also include corrections resulting from indirect cost or IDC audits. Refunds can also arise in cost reimbursable projects which are paid in installments. Record retention. All financial documents and all non-technical reports must be retained after the project closes. PIs are responsible for maintaining technical or performance reports in accordance with the sponsoring agency guidelines. Retention periods vary by funding source and may be found referenced in individual award documents. Proper to report, complete all the applicable forms as per the sponsor guidelines. Now, coming to closeout challenges or important reminders. Timely submission of the final invoice to the sponsor. All expenses need to be posted in time so that we can send the final invoice to the sponsor in time. Sub-award invoices. All the sub-award invoices should be received before the due date of the final invoice to the prime. Credit cards or pro cards. Challenge can be not receiving a credit card statement about 30 days after the purchase. Here, I would like to mention that it is not advisable to purchase any kind of equipment or bulk supplies in the last 90 days of a project. Any kind of such purchases can lead to audit findings. If there is equipment already in the budget, please plan on purchasing the equipment in the beginning of the project rather than at the end of the project. After ended expenditures, avoid any new expenses charging the account after final expenses confirmed. And if there is cost share in any project, please make sure that all the cost share is posted so that the project can be sent for closeout. And final technical and the progress reports as outlined in sponsor agreement. I would like to again emphasize that all the deliverables need to be completed in order for a project to be sent for closing. Why is closeout important? Ensure timely reporting of expenses and cost share if applicable to the sponsor. When payments are tied to PI's deliverables, it is critical that we receive the necessary reports so that we can submit invoices timely. Risk loss of current and future funding with delayed submission of reports. Audit issues. No account activity is advisable after the sponsor's specific closeout period. For example, if the sponsor specifies 90-day closeout period, any expenses hitting the account after the 90-day closeout period can lead to audit findings.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carolyn Franklin, and I am the Senior Project Administrator Team Lead for TTI projects. And I will be discussing the SRS closeout process here, and I'll be starting with the PA. Right here is a visual of the PA process that we do for the closeout, which we start off with confirming transactions that the project has been completed and all transactions are posted. We verify that the posted transactions are occurred within the period of performance. If applicable, we have subawards, encumbrance, and cost share that you will review. We review the revenue and expense budget to make sure it's in balance and make sure we audit the IDC to make sure it's charged correctly. We review the account to determine if a transfer or refund is needed, and we also check to see if the deliverables were entered at setup. And when all of those steps are completed, we assign the closeout to the closeout support specialist. And to begin with the process, the PA is responsible for initiating and monitoring the closeout process from beginning to end. And I'll be going over the general closeout process here at SRS. And if you have any questions pertaining to your specific system member, you can always contact your PA. The closeout process is automated through the closeout module in Maestro. And on the general screen, there's a closeout setup section that includes the sponsored required closing days, the BA, which is the business administrator, whether to send an email for a closeout decision to the PI, and whether the Maestro closeout module will be used for that particular project. In the beginning, Maestro and/or a PA will send out a 90, 60, and 30-day notification to the PI, BA, and RDO to accept or revoke the closeout decision. If the PI, BA, or RDO revokes the decision, then a note has to be entered explaining why the project is not closing on the current end date. For example, extensions is mostly one of those. If the closeout decision has not been made in Maestro, then the PA also has to contact the PI, BA, and RDO to remind them that the project is scheduled to close and inquire about an extension or remind them that the date of their final deliverable, when that is due, and when it needs to be submitted. And if an extension is needed, the PA will assist the PI, BA, and RDO with the request. Most sponsors require extension to be requested within 30 days before the period of performance end date. So usually we've already gotten with the PA about this, but at that time, sometimes we are allowed to send for an extension request at that time. When the period of performance end date to the project has officially passed, an email is sent to the PI, BA, and admin support to confirm that all expenses and corrections have been processed and applied to the account. If the corrections need to be made at that time, it is important to get them done in a timely manner. When confirmation has been received that the account will be reviewed to make sure all transactions occurred during the project period of performance. If any transactions are posted to the account that occurred after the period of performance, the PA will have to contact the PI, BA, or admin support so the charges can be moved from the account. If all transactions occur within the period of performance, the PA will review the account for any deficits. And deficits on the account will need to be cleared by working with the BA admin support. Again, it is important to have those corrections done within a timely manner to avoid audit flags. If a subaward exists, the PA will review to make sure that the final invoice from the subawardee has been received, approved by the PI, and the payment has posted. Once this step is completed, Maestro will automatically terminate the subaward account or accounts. And the project may or may not have encumbrances. The PI will verify that the PA will verify that all encumbrances on the account have been liquidated. If the encumbrance is not liquidated, it must be released from the account. And the encumbrance should be released by the BA and our admin support. The actual process of releasing the encumbrance is according to the specific system member guidelines. Next, we'll verify that the revenue budget and the expense budget are in balance, which in other words, the revenue and expense budgets have to match. Then we'll perform an IDC audit to verify the IDC was expensed correctly throughout the life of the project. I'd like to also mention that during this time, we are doing IDC audits quarterly too. So usually by the end of the life of the project, we can usually catch some of those and be proactive with it. The IDC that was not charged correctly, the PA will review the account to see whether offset occurred. If the amount is within the allowable threshold, which is plus or minus $5, the closeout process can continue. If not, an IDC correction form has to be completed by the PA and processed by the closeout support specialist. If applicable, review the project to make sure any required cost share commitments have been met. And required cost share, if it's not met, then the PA contacts the BA and the RDO and work with them to resolve any issues. If the project funding type is fixed price, the remaining funds will be allocated according to the system member policy. A justification for remaining funds over 25%, the total direct budget will be needed from the PI. And the PA usually reaches out to get that. If the project funding type is cost reimbursable and an overpayment is received from the sponsor, the remaining funds will be refunded. All deliverables, including finals, are entered into Maestro at setup. So the closeout process, usually the PA is making sure that those deliverables are all there from the project. It can't be, the closeout process cannot be completed if a final deliverable has not been submitted. And we usually follow up with the PI, and it's consistent enough until the reports have been submitted. After that step, Maestro will automatically freeze the account for direct expenses. And this can be found on the general screen in Maestro in the closeout setup section by closeout team period days. And it's usually 45 days, 60 days, or 90 days after project end date. All right, finished with the PA. So now we're going to the closeout support specialist. And this is a visual of usually what they do when they receive it from us. They have to verify that the IDC audit has been uploaded. They verify the deliverables are received and marked complete. And they verify any final invoices or financials that they have been submitted to the sponsor. And if applicable, they verify the cost share document has been uploaded. Then after that process, they'll check to make sure all invoices are paid, transfers or refunds completed, paperwork has been turned in and received. And then they will close the project once everything is done. Okay, so this is basically saying when all the previous steps are completed, the closeout will be assigned to the closeout support specialist. The closeout support specialist will complete the closeout process by performing the steps that you've seen in the visual, which will verify the IDC audit is uploaded and review any closeout comments from the PA. They'll verify that the deliverables are received and marked complete in the deliverables section in Maestro. And usually to get these, PIs are welcome to submit their reports to the PA or send an email confirmation that the report was submitted through the sponsor portal or et cetera. And the PA will upload the report or email in Maestro. And I know also with working with TTI, they have a TTI reports that we usually work with to get the deliverables along with the PI. So they verify the final invoice financial has been submitted to the sponsor. And if not, the PA was contacted and will be notified, and they work with the accounts receivable to resolve any issues. And then they verify that the invoices have been paid. And if not, they will contact to follow up on the invoice payment. And if applicable, verify the cost share screen from Famous is uploaded. So we will talk about fixed price projects, as that's mostly the transfer that the transfer remaining funds. So when the actual revenue is greater than the actual expenses and the residual funds are under the specific member threshold, the funds will be transferred to the appropriate system member account. We verify that there is a justification if the residual is over 25% of the current direct cost budget. If not attached in Maestro, the closeout support specialist will notify the PA, and then we'll get with the department and the PI to get the 25% justification and upload it. The transfer steps will not proceed if the final technical deliverable has not been submitted to the sponsor. If it is submitted, a journal entry form is completed and specific member instructions are followed to complete the transfer of residual funds. And at this time, any paperwork that has been completed will be uploaded for system member review. And these are the final steps. They verify that all final entries are correct and transfers, refunds are made. And then they will set the billing project status to terminate it. And if there are no other active billing projects, then the project status on the general screen is set to terminate it. And all documents are retained in Maestro after the project has been terminated. The records are kept according to TAMU record retention policy and or the sponsor's requirements. And also, if you have any more questions after the presentation, you can send an email to me or Suchetta or contact your specific PA. Our emails and name are listed right here.